Me and Thomas are back again, and this time we are going to be ranking starters in Draft League based on the value they provide for where they are usually tiered. And we're going to start off with the first Pokemon on the Pokedex, and that is Venusaur, which I would probably slot into not good would be like the first thing that I think of.
So I think Venusaur is like always an interesting case because it's like, if you think about it in the aspect of Sun, it becomes kind of good, but even as a chlorophyll Sun Sweeper, I actually do think it has started to lose value. I just think there's other mons that are better. Of course,
it's outclassed.
Yeah, of course, Hisuian Lilligant is definitely better. That's not even discussion. But I even think there's an argument to make something like Shiftry potentially can be better, just because Shiftry is a better attacker on both the physical and special side. I think having Stab knockoff is like amazing. That's
a big thing, yeah. And I guess it's worth mentioning that we aren't going to be taking Torterra into consideration for this tier list, just to make it a bit easier to properly rank things. Because Torterra, Venusaur, you know, it could be a little bit scarier, but we're not going to do that. Something else that I don't really like about Venusaur is that it only has base 80 speed, and if you want to run like a adamant nature, like a modest nature, to be able to get as much power as you can, there are a lot of Scarfers that will outspeed Venusaur even under the sun. So I think it's a really underwhelming Sun Sweeper, and I think you can definitely do a little bit better than Venusaur.
And I think if you take away the sun, then Venusaur is actually kind of just ass. Like, he doesn't resist ground.
Yeah.
He's not like the most bulky. He's like a little
bulky.
He's a little bulky, but like not enough really. So he just kind of loses a little bit of value here and there.
Yeah, it's a grounded poison, but like if this is your grounded poison, you might have fucked up somewhere already. So that you might not want to draft Venusaur if you're not drafting Sun, and even if you are drafting Sun, you might be able to get something a little bit better in like a different sort of like setting.
Now, next up is everyone's favorite, who is of course gonna go in garbage.
We are absolutely going to put it into garbage. And you know what? I'm actually going to change this from not good. I'm going to change it to okay, just because it might be a more accurate.
Yeah, because like we're not saying the mons aren't good in this tier. We're more so saying they're like fine, like they work in an emergency, but you shouldn't really go for them.
Yeah, in the okay tier, yeah, that's like it's just okay. Like you shouldn't really expect to be blown away by the Pokemon at all. But Charizard is, I probably would say, absolutely garbage, because I don't rate this Pokemon like at all. Be it on Sun, be it not on Sun, I just do not
so the
like
problem
it.
with Charizard is you can turn him into a nuke. Like you can go Choice Specs, Solar Power in the Sun with fire moves. Yeah, sure. But the problem is, if your Choice Specs and your opponents have rocks up, you're coming in once.
Yeah,
that's it.
You're coming in once. Yeah, you're claiming one kill, and then you're basically just dying from there, because 100 base speed is like slow for this meta. It just is.
Yeah, and like Charizard is just like, if it wasn't pigeonholed into having heavy duty boots, it probably would be a little bit better. You can come in multiple times and all that, but it's just like,
yeah, it's one of those Pokemon that if I have a Sun team, I'm probably never picking it. If I don't have a Sun team, I'm definitely never picking it. Like, if you can maybe Torterra it, but we're not taking that into consideration, because Torterra would get rid of its weakness, but that's not what we're doing here. So just a standalone Pokemon, Charizard in Draft League, it's garbage, especially if you say that like it's usually priced around where other fire starters are, like the more budget ones, and it's just like, I think, worse than them. So I'd have to put Charizard in garbage, as much as it might pain a lot of the Pokemon fans. I just think Charizard is kind of garbage in Draft League, and should probably really never pick it. Blastoise, on the other hand, is something that you should probably pick if you need what it does.
I think with every utility he has gotten over the years, like Flip Turn, you have Shell Smash for offensive pressure, you have Spin, of course. I think he's going into awesome for me. It's just like, like he has started to rise in price every now and then, but people are still a little hesitant to make him like super expensive at this point. And I just think you get so much out of it. Like we talk a lot about like roll compressions within the draft community. Like when you get a mon that can do a lot of stuff, often you kind of just pay what they're worth, and it doesn't really matter what the worth is at that point.
Exactly. Yeah, Blastoise is one of those Pokemon that would probably get picked no matter where it's priced, unless it's super expensive, obviously. But like, if people are probably willing to pay like 14 points for Blastoise, and I think it's fair, because like you said, it's been getting a lot of buffs over the gens with Flip Turn, gets Iron Defense, Body Press this gen as well.
Yeah.
So it has a lot going for it. You can run Spin, you can run Fat Sets with Roar, Shell Smash is big threat. So I think especially for like you said, the roll compression that it provides at the price point, it's a pretty awesome Pokemon. It's just the best Gen 1 starter anyway, so...
Yeah, I mean, it blows
Blastoise.
It blows the other two out of the water at this point.
Completely, yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Meganium. We're definitely not...
So, like, the garbage tier is, of course, made for, like, the worst Pokemon, but realistically, Meganium had its own tier that's called Meganium.
Yeah, if I could put Meganium all the way over here at the bottom of garbage tier, I probably would, because it's just not.
To be fair towards Meganium, it has gotten like Gen 9 is weirdly probably the generation where it's the best ever, because it has like Encore, Screens, Lead Seed, of course. So it has like more utility now than it's ever had, but it's still just like underwhelming.
Yeah, like even like there's probably other grass types that you would rather pick up. Like Blossom gets Strength Sap, it's probably better. Sorry to bring up Blossom, but it's probably better. Like Go-Go, I think I might prefer it over Meganium. Like I did draft Meganium in a Gen 3 tournament and I really enjoyed it there, but that's because there weren't a lot of options. And nowadays we just have so many different options that I just don't think it's ever worth picking up Meganium, to be honest. I think it's a certified garbage. Like, that's just what it is.
Do I think if you pick up Meganium, you could make it work as your bulky grass? Probably. But it's like...
You could. But, like, why would you do that to yourself? You could just pick up something slightly better. Like, don't do that to yourself. Just don't.
I will say this. If you see Meganium in 1 point, that can be kind of worth it, you know?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's a lot of value from it. But, like, Meganium is usually not that cheap.
It's like 3, 4-ish, maybe 5.
Yeah.
Like...
And you can probably get stuff that are slightly better. So I just don't ever see a reason to draft Meganium, to be honest. Typhlosion, I have used it. I just finished using it in the P4G low tier, and at the start of the season I was like, okay, this Pokemon might actually cook. It's a pretty good Pokemon. Whoops, never mind. I might actually make this Pokemon work, but as the season went on, I kind of just went like, yeah, okay, this guy he might not be.
So Typhlosion suffers from the Charizard problem, where he is very much pigeonholed into one. He wants to run Choice Scarf, Choice Specs, but because he's a fire type, he's going to take rocks damage. Now he's only one time weak to rocks, so he only takes 25, which is a little bit better. He does get access to like Eruption, which is like a nuke on on some fire type, not a lot. So he's just like a slightly better Charizard. He has a little bit less coverage, but the coverage he does have is enough for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, fun fact, I actually just discovered this like yesterday, but Typhlosion and Charizard have the exact same stat distribution. So Charizard just has like a little bit of a worse typing. Even Typhlosion isn't great because Eruption is like reliant on your HP stat, and if there are rocks up and you aren't boots, like you're taking 25%, which will ultimately make you hit a little bit less harder. So while specs and scarf sets are usually the best, it's still not ideal because it is weak to rocks. So it's just an okay Pokemon. Like I've drafted it a couple of times if I need a low tier fire type, but it's just an okay Pokemon. Yeah, don't expect fireworks.
That's kind of the thing with the Typhlosion is you never go for Typhlosion specifically. It's more so, okay, I need a mon around base 100 speed, Typhlosion is there. Boom, I pick it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's pretty much what we're getting with Typhlosion. Sceptile is something I'm not really sure where to rank. I would probably say okay. I don't think it's quite garbage. I think it's okay because it has like it's fast, and like if Shedtail is allowed, it's one of the better Shedtail users. But offensively, it's not that good.
So
it's just not.
Sceptile is like one of, if not the starter, that Game Freak for whatever reason decided to cock the most. Because if he was just physical rather than special, like if his attack stats was swapped, he would be so much better because his physical move pool is really good. Like it is exceptionally good. But for whatever reason, they were like, give him 85 attack. Yes, let's go.
120 base speed is still a very respectable like speed stat even in this generation.
Yeah, 100%.
But the thing is, like, even with teams that run terrain, I don't see Sceptile picked up that often. Like people don't look at it as an unburdened sweeper, and like it's an okay Pokemon, but I struggle to see it go any higher than okay, because it might even be like towards the bottom of okay, because I just don't rate it that much. This is Blaziken, and this is actually Speed Boost Blaziken, which so Speed Boost Blaziken is usually tiered towards the top of the tier list, right? It's one of those super expensive Pokemon.
It's sitting at like 16 points or something like that.
Yeah, from 0 to 20, it might be like 17 points, something like that. Definitely towards the top, right?
Yeah.
But I kind of think it's fraudulent. I think a lot of people sort of share the same opinion. So
yeah,
I'm at the moment...
So like when in the start... I would say in the start of the gen, but when Blaziken came out in Gen 9, people were like, okay, should we allow speed boost? Okay, let's do that. And then they priced it at like max points. Because like, if he was banned before, he must be max points. And then people realized, oh wait, he's kind of ass.
He's not all that, bro. He's not all that. So I honestly don't know if I'd put him in awesome or good, because remember, this is based on the value, like how much you're paying for what you're getting.
I think right now, because he has lowered in price more and more, you can maybe say awesome, because I do think when you get to like around 15, 16-ish, if that's what Blaziken is, there's like an argument for like you get a good value, because you get like speed boost is of course like an amazing ability, right? No questions there.
Yeah.
You do have the opportunity to sword stance. Now, Blaziken, I think, is not always the greatest at sword stancing because he is a little frail.
Oh, it's super frail. I think it's like base 70 in defenses or something like that.
But like you can go both physical, special. Like there's definitely upsides to Blaziken that I can definitely see, but I just don't think he's like I don't think
he's definitely not S tier.
Yeah, he's not God tier by any means. He's probably an awesome. Like I think if he falls more in price, then he's like 100% awesome, and then we can maybe even discuss like God tier, because
going up a little bit,
because then he's just valuable at that point. But right now, I think like bottom awesome, I think could be kind of fine.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like I just don't like Pokemon that like rely on Protect. And again, you don't have to run Protect, but that's like the easiest way for you to guarantee a speed boost. But Protective is a bit of a passive play. You might be able to like get taken advantage of. And then like if you only have one speed boost up, there's still a lot of Scarfers that will outspeed you. So I don't know. It's definitely, I think, a little bit worse in my book than maybe other people have it. But I'm okay with leaving it in awesome for now. And then we can always revisit if we want to. But it's definitely on Fraud Watch for sure.
Speaking of what I think potentially be a Fraud Watch is Swampert.
Ooh.
So I don't think he's a fraud, but I do think
it's fallen off a little bit.
I think people were like expecting Gen 9 to be Swampert's gen, because he got like knockoff, flip turn. He has like everything now.
Yes.
But the problem is Trailblaze. Trailblaze is on
everything gets Trailblaze.
Everything. Like everything has now a grass move, which just kind of makes Swampert a little bit weaker. Plus, in general, with the high power creep on Gen 9, he is not taking the hits that he used to. Like he'll come in, he'll take 1 to 2, like he'll take the 2 hits, but then after that he doesn't really take anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I still see Swampert picked up a lot, because I still think it's a very good Pokemon, but it's just not the same type of Pokemon that it was like in Gen 8. Because Gen 8 I used to use Swampert a lot, but the fact that a lot of things do get Trailblaze is kind of a really big sort of like dampen into its viability. Stuff like Lycanroc can just like Trailblaze, and you can probably like, probably can't check those things anymore.
I also think Swampert's value fell a little bit, because now something like Gastron, while slightly worse, also has like hazards, which was like Swampert's whole entire thing between the water grounds. He's like, he had hazards. Now he has momentum, which I guess is pretty good, but Gastron has like an immunity in Storm Drains. It's like you kind of gotta weigh what you value the most, and like Gastron is often cheaper, so it's also like, is Gastron more worth it because it's cheaper compared to Swampert?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think good is probably a decent spot to have it in. I don't know if this gen I could put it into awesome. Like last gen I would definitely put it into awesome, but this gen I probably wouldn't put it any higher than just good. So Torterra is something that's also a little interesting, because when it initially got Shell Smash, people were going crazy over it and be like, oh my god, this guy's going to be so good. Remember, this is no Terra. So even with Shell Smash, I would say that Torterra is probably just an okay starter. It might be slightly better than Venusaur, maybe.
I think right now it would be the best in the okay tier, because it's like initially when as you talked about when we saw it got Shell Smash, people were putting it like even non-Terra, some people were putting it like 12, 13-ish, and I was like, and that's like a little too high. It has now fallen. Now I think between 8 and 10 is where I typically see it. Yeah, and I think that's pretty like fitting, because like the problem with Torterra is just its typing is not that great. Like just base typing, ground grass is not like, it's nice. You resist certain stuff and whatnot. You're good into other ground types. Like you beat most ground types 1v1.
Yeah,
but you just have so many weaknesses. You have of course a 4-time weakness to ice. Torterra's stat spread is like pretty okay. Like it's good physical defense, good attack.
Yeah, but it's so slow. Like, even as a Shell Smasher, you're so slow. Like, even once you get to +2, there's so many things that will still outspeed you. And that's a pretty big deal if you're trying to be like a sweeper. You want to make sure that you're faster than everything. Like, even in P4G low tier, I was contemplating dropping Gligar for Torterra, but I didn't because I wasn't even sure that Gligar or, like, Torterra was better than Gligar. So I think that kind of, like, puts it into perspective that this guy is... Torterra might be my favorite starter out of all of them, but competitively speaking in Draft League, it's really not that. It's really not that good. Like, it's not a fast shell smasher. It's not like a particularly like ground type that you would pick up. It's weak to a lot of forms of priority. It doesn't resist them, so it's probably just an okay Pokemon.
Yeah,
nothing more than that. You can pick it up if you want to, but don't, like, if you're thinking that you're gonna get like a win condition every week, you're probably going to be a little bit disappointed because I think it's just a bit too slow for it. Now, Infernape's fall off needs to be studied a little bit because this guy used to be like super good, especially in Gen 6.
Yeah.
And now it's just kind of like, I don't see this guy drafted. And I don't even know where it's tiered.
What used to make Infernape really good was that, like, dual attack stats with like 108, 108, and 104 in both of them, so you can be on either side.
Yeah.
But now that is just like not strong enough, like on either side. Like, it's just not strong enough anymore. And that makes Infernape like suffer a lot. Speed tier 108 is like fine. Like, it's nothing amazing, but it's like an okay speed tier to have.
Yeah. It's usually not your top 2 speed tiers on a draft. Usually 108 isn't that blistering fast as it was in previous gens. I think the problem with Infernape is that it just doesn't hit hard enough to be an offensive attacker. Like, it gets priority on both sides, which is nice. It can be a mixed attack with like Grassknot and stuff, but like, it just doesn't hit hard enough to be a strong attacker. It's not fast enough. It's not bulky enough. Like, it gets good utility options with rocks and slack off and stuff like that, but it's just not bulky enough to utilize that, especially in this gen where the power has just gone up so high. So I don't even know where Infernape is usually priced, but
well, so I know it's still priced like at like 12, I think, but I do know, so in WPF, which is a league I'm part of, we did actually put Infernape at 10 points, and I do think at 10 points it becomes like pretty good value at that point. It's like you're still getting a decent pivot, you're still getting like utility rocks, it gets knockoff now.
Yeah,
so it still functions as like a pretty good mon, but I wouldn't say it's like you're not getting, you know, a world breaker for the point price, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. Infernape has fallen off a little bit, but it's I guess if you put it at 10 points, it could still be decent value. I just think that we need to like lower its points or its cost a little bit so we can see it drafted, so we can know what it can do, so that we can then like tier it correctly. Because right now I still see it like 13, 14 points, and I just don't think it's ever worth picking up at that. But if we're looking at like 10, 11, it might be a good option, so that's why we're going to leave it in good there. Empoleon, now I know, see, I have a mixed opinion on Empoleon because I used it and I really did not enjoy it, but I recognize that it's like world compression in a Pokemon because it can do so many things, but I think that might be one of its shortcomings as well.
Well, so for me, I think Empoleon is like an awesome mon because, as you said, it's a lot of world compression. You can also have your rocks, you have your bulky water, you have a good steel type, get access to flip turn, get access to knockoff, can roost. And even offensively now with competitive, like, you cannot lower any of the stats on Empoleon or he will smack you in the face at this point. Because like he has 100, I believe it's 111 special attack.
Special attack, yeah.
Which is pretty good. And I also think the fact that Empoleon can be both physically defensive or specially defensive really like speaks for his value as well. Like he's not like a bulky water you pick up, but it's only good on the special side, like Tentacle for instance. Right? Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing that I found when I used Empoleon the most was that like I wanted it to do too many things to a point where it was basically getting nothing done. So if you want to draft Empoleon, my biggest piece of advice would be like make sure you have other Pokemon that are capable of fulfilling its duties as well, so it's not forced to do a million different things. Like on my team, it was a bulky water, it was my bulky steel, it was my stealth rocker, but then I also wanted to flip turn on it. I wanted to have knockoff, I wanted to have stabs, I wanted to have roost. So I just wanted it to do too many things, and I just really did not enjoy it. So
I will say, in that scenario, I don't think it necessarily is Empoleon's fault, because it's like you can't really expect any mon to be able to do everything, right?
Yeah, but I think a lot of people like look at Empoleon and instantly assume like, oh, this guy there's like a bulky water and a bulky steel, and like it can do these things, which it can do. But I'm just saying, like, be careful with the team that you draft around it, because you don't want to spread Empoleon too thin to a point where then it won't do anything.
Yeah.
I will say, offensively, I was really impressed with how Chase used it in the P4G low tier. Like, he was constantly bringing like agility and like weakness policy sets, and I think those could be pretty interesting because it can catch your opponent off guard. We're gonna move on to Serperior, which is another grass starter, and I think we're just gonna pop it into OK again, like with the rest of the other grass starters. Like, it's an OK Pokemon. Like,
don't worry, folks. Not all the grass starter will be down here. You see some of those beaters at the end there. We'll get there.
Yeah, I feel like as the generations went on, Game Freak made better grass starters, competitively speaking. So this is, I mean, so the other ones will definitely go a little bit higher than this guy. But Serperior in Gen 6 was crazy because you could get Hidden Power, but without Terra and without Hidden Power now, it's kind of fallen off like a lot, because it can snowball. It's one of those Pokemon that can snowball, but its lack of coverage is just like too big for it to like be a big offensive threat. And then defensively, I guess you could run like Glare and Taunt and like Subseed and stuff like that, but you're kind of just like maybe a little bit on copium, even if you try to do those sets. So I'd probably have it as good. I don't know if I'd even have it in front of Torterra, to be honest. Like, I don't know, like,
you mean in OK?
Amongst the other, in OK, yeah, amongst the other grass types, I don't even know where I'd rank it.
I think Serperior
like
gets like bonus points for just being like 113 speed is really nice, and being able to like knock off on lead seat, like it's really obnoxious to go against. I think it's like the thing I would say.
Yeah, because again, it can snowball. So if you are put into a position where your grass resists are kind of gone, or like they're weakened, you can do like Leaf Storm into like Dragon Pulse, and that might be able to run away with a couple of games. But generally speaking, grass is not the best offensive typing at all. So you would usually have a couple of checks to Serperior in a game. So it's not garbage. It's okay. So if you want to draft it, go for it. But it's just okay. As is Emboar. I'd probably say Emboar is also okay. Like, I kind of forgot this guy was even in the game, to be honest, until like I think it was John Jr. who had it in the BBR.
Yeah,
but,
so
like,
there's some people that stand by Emboar because you do get like this behemoth of a breaker, right?
Yeah.
You get like Reckless Flare Blitz with like a Choice Band, and like even a Resist is not really taking that hit too well. But
yeah, like it's a nuke for sure. It's a big nuke.
Yeah, but the problem with Emboar is he's like too slow. He's not quite bulky enough. If he had like more bulk, like if they took, I believe he has like 100 special attack. If they took that 100, spliced it in half, and then did 25 in each defense, then we're talking. Then we're talking like a nice bulky, like
yeah.
Like
it could be a very bulky. Yeah, because they basically try to make it like a mixed attacker type thing, right? But you might just want to lean into like the Reckless Flare Blitz type thing and just like go all on in attack and don't have special attack. And then maybe it could be a little bit bulkier. Like, I could see this guy working in Trick Room, but Trick Room is just not that good in singles. And then I think it's a little too slow to be a Scarfer too. So like, even with a Scarfer, there's probably going to be some things that you won't outspeed. So I guess I'd have it in OK, just because I don't see it like used that often. So I don't have that much of an opinion on it, but I don't think it's garbage, so it would have to be OK. Samurott might be, I don't know, it's giving Meganium a very good run for being the worst starter in Pokemon Draft League.
But Samurott just like base is just like not it. Like,
it's not.
He has mixed attack, but both attack stats are just ass.
Suck. Yes.
He is not fast. He's not bulky. Like, I'm actually wondering, where did all his stats go? Like, I'm actually wondering,
exactly.
Where did they go?
Does it actually, like, is it like 525 BST or something, or 550? Like, where do the stats go? Because they all suck. He's not bulky. He's not fast. He's not strong. He doesn't have an ability because he has shell armor, and you're not fat enough to be able to use that. It gets decent coverage, right? But why would you ever pick Samurott? Like, don't do that. If you're ever thinking about picking Samurott, just don't. Chesnaught. I'm actually a really big believer of Chesnaught. I think Chesnaught is kind of slept on in Pokemon Draft League. I'd probably put it into good. I think it's definitely better than all of these, especially because of what it offers.
I agree that it's better than all of them. I do also think it probably isn't good. Like, it's just like you get spikes. You have a good, like, physically defensive mon. Spiky Shield is like a really, like, it's just a better protect at all cost.
Yeah.
Good offensive stats, like even though it doesn't hit, like even though the attack stat is only like I think 107 or something like that, it has really,
I think it's something, yeah.
It has really high base moves, and like Woodhammer, whatnot, so it can do damage if it needs to.
Yeah, I think it also resisting like the combination of Earthquake and Stone Edge. I don't know. That's just something that I usually value on my drafts a lot because a lot of your ground types do get Stone Edge. So if you can have something that resists Edgequake, then I think that's a pretty valuable asset to have. And it's not like this Pokemon minds running spikes on it. Like you can run spikes, you can run like it gets knockoff now as well, so it's he has that going for it. You can run the spiky shield like lead sheet sets. And it gets belly drum, so watch out, or you might get swept by belly drum Trailblaze, literally.
Yeah, but there's also just like Iron Defense, Body Press. Like it can actually go kind of in a couple of different modes, like offensively as well. Which I think is
I don't think you can go wrong with Chesnaught. I think it's a really good value pick. We're moving on. Delphox. I don't know if I should put it in okay or good because I kind of like it.
Here's my thing is I actually think Delphox isn't good, and I think there's an argument to Delphox being more valuable than Infernape. Not because I think Delphox is necessarily 100% better than Infernape, just because it is always cheaper. Like you can almost always get Delphox cheaper than you can get Infernape.
Yeah.
And I think they just kind of provide like not the same, but I think Delphox provides a better offensive presence because it's basically the same speed. Like it's 108 versus 104, which I guess is low.
Yeah.
But it hits harder, 114 special attack. Has decent special defense, has good coverage as well. Like you have enough, like you don't need much else.
You know what? You cooked there. That's the correct opinion because we are doing it based on where they are usually tiered. So Delphox is usually like 8 points or something like that, and I think it's really good value for 8 points. Very good special attacker with access to Nasty Plot, decent speed stat, can support your team. So I would agree. I think Delphox is actually good and better value than Infernape for sure. You know what I forgot about? Before we go into the next one, we completely forgot about the best Gen 2 starter. I know you used this guy recently, so I'll let you...
But yeah, no, he's the best Gen 2 starter. I don't even think... I think he's in good. Like, I think he's good. Like, he's a more reliable setup sweep, I would say, than Torterra, because, like, he is also okay bulky. Like, he's not, like, super bulky, but he's bulky enough that he can take a hit, get a Dragon Dance off. Now, could you make the argument that he might be a little slow and still get outsped after that Dragon Dance? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's not super fast, but one thing that I really do like about it is that, like, even though its offensive stats might look mediocre, the combination of Sheer Force and Life Orb just give it so much power output on the physical and on the special side.
And the thing is, Feraligatr does have a move pool that really plays into it. Like you have a Rock Slide, which get Ice Punch. Liquidation is a godsend to water types that has Sheer Force, I guess, which is only Feraligatr, but...
It doesn't matter. I mean, but Focus Blast on the special side, like goodbye Avalugg, like I remember that, and that was sick. But you can do that because Feraligatr is specially capable.
And as we talked about, he is like decently bulky. So if you want to run like Assault Vest Feraligatr to take some hits here and there and just hit stuff instead of setting up, that works too because he still hits hard even without the Life Orb. Like just just Sheer Force itself is often enough.
It's a really strong ability, yeah. So Feraligatr is much more versatile than people might give it credit for.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we need a little bit of a drum roll, a little bit of a standing ovation for the first God tier starter. Like I don't think there's a discussion to be had at all whether Greninja should be there. Like he's the poster child of what a good starter can be.
Absolutely, yeah. Like this is like when I think of Draft League, I think of Greninja. So I think like low-key Game Freak, when making Greninja, they may have like designed it specifically for Draft League because it's just like exactly what a Draft League Pokemon should be. It's fast, it can hit decently hard, it's got a lot of utility, it can be physical or special. Have I mentioned it's fast? Like it's so fast, and it's like such a good Pokemon there.
And like so in Gen 9, you would in theory think that Greninja is worse, but there's also an argument to say he's better. Because in Gen 8, you were not allowed to use Battle Bond at all because of Ashgren. In Gen 9, you're allowed to use Battle Bond because they nerfed the ability, but then in hindsight, buffed it within draft at that point.
Yeah, because it became allowed. You became allowed to use Battle Bond. And even though Protean was also nerfed, it's still a really, really good ability. Like, what I really like about Greninja when I used it is that you can run Protean if you're looking for a breaker, and then you can run Battle Bond if you're looking for like a sweeper. Like you get one kill and all of a sudden you're just kind of game over because you get the +1 in speed, but because you are so fast, even other Scarfers cannot check you realistically because not many people will have a Scarfer faster than
I'm running
Greninja.
my Choice Scarf Regieleki, watch me.
bro, run like Choice Scarf Regieleki or Choice Scarf Deoxys Speed or something. But Greninja is like incredible with the utility it provides. It can be a hazard stacker for sure. It doesn't mind doing that. It gets taunt and U-turn, so it can absolutely function as that. So yeah, like you said, Greninja is what a starter should be, and I think they did so well with Greninja that they tried to replicate it a couple more times, and we'll get into that in a second here.
But next up,
Decidueye.
Gen 7 kind of did something. Like they all of a sudden
cooked.
They kind of understood, like, hey, maybe we should make our starter Pokemon good, because Decidueye is a good mon as well. Like it is pretty decent offensively. It has okay bulk on the special side specifically. And it gets good utility. You have knockoff, you have Delphox, you of course get Roost. You have multiple.
You can be offensive with like Sword Stance.
Yeah, you have multiple forms of priority. You have both Shadow Sneak and Sucker Punch, I believe. Like you can do a lot.
You can go physical and special.
Yeah, you can do a lot with the Decidueye, and I do think it like just stands above the OK tier, no matter what.
Oh, absolutely, it's better than all of these buffoons here in OK. It's definitely in good. Because like it's a ghost type, and you know you want a spin blocker, you can pick up Decidueye because it's decently bulky and it has Roost, so it can be that fat guy. But if you want like something to set up and break, Poltergeist is a really strong move and it gets Sword Stance. So I think Decidueye is definitely good. They definitely cooked a little bit with the Gen 7 starters because
even the next one here, he is
Incineroar. Yeah,
he's 100% good. I think there's a borderline for awesome just because of the amount of utility you can get out of Incineroar. And that's not even speaking as like, like I'm not a VGC person. I don't play VGC. If this was VGC, we would have a tier called Incineroar.
It would have to be above S tier because it's just that good in VGC. Like in Draft League, I really like it. I don't know if I like it enough to be in Awesome. If you think it should go into Awesome, I won't fight you on that because I think it is really good with like Parting Shot and Intimidate and stuff. But
I think if your team is constructed in a good way that you have really good hazard removal, then then you unlock Incineroar essentially. Like you unlock his potential because you run Assault Vest. Assault Vest is like an amazing item on Incineroar. Like U-turn knockoff. Fire Stab and then coverage, and like he just goes like he's bulky on both sides. He has Intimidate, which is like an amazing draft ability, just having that -1 attack.
Absolutely.
But even if you don't run like an Assault Vest, you run like Leftovers, you have access to Parting Shot. He gets Taunt, like he gets so many good utility moves as well. He can just do fucking everything. Like, let's just be honest.
He can do a lot of things. He can even be special if you want, because I think his special attack stat isn't even that bad, which is something I really like on fire types, because I don't like running Flare Blitz, so even with like stuff like Talonflame, I usually run like Overheat if I want like a strong fire type attack. One thing that I do really like about Incineroar is how he enables setup with like Intimidate plus Parting Shot. Like it becomes so easy for one of your Pokemon to set up. So I don't know. Do you want to put into Awesome? Like
I think because he's still not like superly overpriced. I feel like because he has been in the game so long now that we have kind of found a sweet spot for him, which I do think makes him like a good like an awesome value mon. Like I do think he is like there. Kind of sitting like he you never feel like you overpaid for him. I think is like most of the thing.
Now that's probably the definition of good value, is that like you never look at Incineroar as like, oh man, did I fuck up by picking it up? No, it can basically find a role to fit into every matchup, which I think is really, really nice. Primarina is probably the best starter in Draft League out of this gen, but recently I've seen Primarina like so expensive, and I'm like, I think that kind of defeats what was like Primarina's niche in Draft League, which was like a decently mid-tier, like budget-ish, like bulky water and bulky fairy.
When Primarina was sitting around like 12, 13-ish points, you were thinking, oh, this is a nice value. It's a bulky water.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's a bulky fairy. It's really strong offensively, can set up. Then it got access to Flip Turn, became even better. But now, because of how scarce the fairy types are, it's just like, it's jumping in price. Like,
I think 16 points or something.
I was going to say, the most
like
recent
crazy
thing I've seen was like 16. And like, at that point, I am kind of like, well, maybe I could just break the water and fairy type up and just get like 2 mons that do the same thing, you know?
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love using Primarina. Like, it's super strong. Like, Moonblast, I think, is like an overpowered move. I think Game Freak went a little bit too strong on Moonblast because it's 95 base power, doesn't miss, has a chance to lower special attack. Like, it doesn't really have a drawback, so I think it's a really good move. So I like running specs on it, and like Subcall mindsets with like stored power now, also pretty good. But again, I think it's just a little bit too expensive nowadays. Like, I've seen it tiered like higher than Azumarill, and like I don't know if I'm there yet with Primarina. Maybe this is a bit of a hot take from us, but because of like Primarina being so expensive now, I don't think I can put it into awesome, even though I think it's an awesome Pokemon. I think it's a little bit too expensive for it to be awesome, so I'd probably just have it in good. Top of good for sure, but I don't think I can put it into awesome.
Now here comes what is one of my favorite starter when it comes to like using in Rillaboom. I can't put it in the God tier, not anymore. Maybe Gen 8 we could have talked about it, but the Grassy Glide nerf is kind of annoying. Like it's not as good. But it's just like, he's so good. He's bulky. He hits like a truck. He has one of the best priority moves in the game.
Yeah, I love Rillaboom too, bro. Like, I absolutely adore Rillaboom. Even last gen, like, a lot of people were like kind of not that high on it, but I'd pick this guy up round 1 consistently. Even though it can't break through flying types that well, I think if you run knockoff on it, you knock off the flying types boots, you get up rocks, and now every time it comes in, like, it's going to be like weaker, and it's probably not going to be able to check it as much. But
even like there's some flying types, if they're not like the most hard-hitting ones, you can literally just run like a sub-lead seed set and probably stall that shit out if you really want to.
True, yeah, you could definitely do that. And one thing that I love about Rillaboom is that it enables a whole new sort of like team archetype. You get grassy terrain with like a Sneasler, and you are cooking. So not only is Rillaboom a good Pokemon on its own, but it can provide like really good support. And I think that's the definition of value, is that it can like enable other like members to really shine.
Rillaboom is probably the biggest team player out of all the stuff.
Yeah,
like he probably is.
Yeah, it's the one that sort of like synergizes best with like other Pokemon that it really enables. So I would absolutely have Rillaboom in awesome. I really like it. I think Cinderace would probably also go in awesome. I think it's better than all these guys. Like, we're not putting these guys specifically in order, but like the first one probably will.
Cinderace is of course the first replica of Greninja that we've seen. Like, like Libero is just like, I don't even know why it's so weird that they,
why bother?
Why did they name it Libero and then a generation later like, let's just go back to Protean? Like,
yeah, like wow. Yeah, fuck that, Libero.
Purely ability wise, he's probably the best use out of them, just because if you click Pyro Ball, you do not lose the like ability, like you don't use it up, so you can click Pyro Ball into like a gong shot and still get the proc on both of them. Well, you don't
because you're a single type, right? So you don't change from a fire type to a fire type. You just stay the fire type, and you have your Libero saved up.
So like purely using the ability is probably the better one of them, but I think he's like a little too one-dimensional compared to the other two. Like the other two has a more utility.
Yeah, I could see that.
He has core chains, but core chains is like, in core chains it's good, but it's very depending on what your opponent does, right?
Yeah, it does rely on your opponent setting up hazards and you not setting up hazards and you being able to core change it. I also think like its move pool is a little bit shallow. Like if it had a little bit more to its move pool, it might have been good, because you typically want to run like Pyro Ball and then like high jump kicking, gunk shot, which are like high power moves. Yeah, and then you run like U-turn.
I think the way it's fixed is if they made Electro Ball physical, then it's fixed.
Yeah, true. Yeah, but like Pyro Ball is also like a really spammable move. And Electro Ball, like, it should be physical because it's literally a ball, so like you're kicking a ball, so like it should be physical. But yeah, they didn't quite nail it with Cinderace, but they tried again later, and we'll talk about that. But Inteleon is something that I've been somewhat surprised with recently, I guess. I never looked at Inteleon that much, but I think it's probably like in good.
I think if we were ranking these based on just purely how good the mons were, he would probably be on the little bit of the lower end compared to some others. But I think because it's value on price, he becomes much better, because like he's relatively cheap for what you get. Like you get a super fast mon, super hard hitting mon. Snipe shot is like kind of a really good move. Like if you have a scope lens, snipe shot is a 50-50 to crit, and with sniper ability, you just kind of like a resist is not a resist at that point almost.
Exactly, yeah, because and even if something like sets up Calm Minds and stuff, like you just crit right through it. And Joey showed us the power of like physical fucking Inteleon, and that it for some reason gets Ice Shard, which is such a weird thing.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
it gets it.
Its physical move pool is like surprisingly good, as you said. It has Aqua Jet, which makes sense, but then it also has Ice Shot, and it's like, why do you have Ice Shot?
Why?
Like, it doesn't make sense. I get you have Ice Beam, so but doesn't that mean anything that had Ice Beam should then have Ice Shot?
Yeah, like it doesn't really make that much sense. But like Inteleon is fast. Like the 120 base speed is very respectable this gen, and like you said, like Snipe Shot crits, kind of a cheat code, because like at that point, unless you have an immunity, there's not really a like very good switch in that will love taking those type of attacks. And I also really like the fact that it gets like flip turn and U-turn. I like that.
Yeah, no, I think Inteleon has risen in popularity. Like, so where we've talked about some other mons have like lost a little bit viability because of Gen 9. I think Inteleon has actually gained viability just because all of a sudden there's not nearly as many fat teams, which means like this fast breaker that Inteleon is just becomes a little bit better.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So like Inteleon, I'd probably have it in good. It's I can see myself drafting it one day, and I see it going like drafted a lot more now than I did before. So now we arrive at the Greninja reincarnation.
Greninja 3.0 when they again realized, oh wait, we just need to tack spikes on it, and
let's make it a dark type too. Like that's crazy. Like they literally just almost copied Greninja like word for word. It's insane.
But it was literally like make sure you change my stuff a little bit, so they made it physical, you know.
Yeah. Let's not make it. Let me copy your homework, but let's not make it like too obvious. So let's make it physical.
Yeah.
But I think Meowscarada is an absolutely S tier god Pokemon. It's the next draft league I join. I am drafting it. There is no questions about it because I think Flower Trick, really good move. Even though Grass type isn't like the best offensive move, but like you can always crit, so that's really strong. Stab knockoff, big thing. This guy got triple axle in the latest DLC, so the fat flying types that wanted to switch in on it can't really do that reliably anymore, and it does get access to both like spikes and T-spikes, so it's a very good like lead hazard setter.
It's utility, it's offensive presence, and the thing is you can still run like a special move if you really need to. Like
True.
Power Gem is like the weirdest but really good coverage move it has. Like so, why does it have it? But it's so nice. People were legitimately running Power Gem before it got triple axle just because you wanted to hit the flying types.
Yeah, it's a really good move to hit those flying types, and like I think even part of the standard set is running like Leaf Storm on it or something. So
yeah,
like that just shows that Meowscarada can be super versatile, and 100% think it's an S tier god tier Pokemon, and it's really good. So if you haven't had the chance to use it yet, I would recommend attempting to pick it up, even if it's round 1, because like it might not be round 1 material, but like at the same time it might low key also be like round 1.
I think it comes down to like where you are. If you're like at the very start of the draft, you probably should not pick it because there will be like a higher tier mon that is like just insane, like good.
Objectively better. Yeah.
But if you are like pick, I don't know, 13 out of 16 and there's none of the like really high tiers that you're really eyeing, then picking up Meowscarada and then just taking whatever's left afterwards makes total sense.
Yeah, because that's the thing that makes Meowscarada an S tier in this tier list, is that you will not see this guy priced alongside like a Greninja. Like there will be usually a pretty decent gap between the two. So the value that you can get out of Meowscarada is very high. So certified S tier. Now old Skeledirge, we're not taking Terra into account because otherwise with Terra this guy is like everything and it does not matter what.
He's probably got tier because it's like you can build Skeledirge with Terra in the sense that he just becomes the ultimate wall. Like he
walls everything.
He has just enough Spidef that he can even be a Spidef ball. So it's like But without Terra, he does suffer from what pretty much any fire type does, is you have to run heavy duty boots.
Yeah, and especially on a bulky one.
And he is really good. Like don't get me wrong, he is really good. But if whatever you want to check has knockoff, you're screwed.
Yeah, essentially that. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably have it in good. I don't think I could put it any higher than good. Like, if it was a bit faster, can you imagine if this guy was fast with Torch Song? It would be like really strong. Because Ghost and Fire are like a really strong like offensive combination.
Could you imagine it had like an 85 speed and then instead of but then it had an ability to raise speed every time you kill something, so like you Torch Song, get the +1, then you get the speed.
So basically special Quaquaval is what you're saying.
No.
Basically special Quaquaval, but yeah, this guy's fat. Will-O-Wisp is nice on it, but I think it's fallen off.
So don't get us wrong. Right now, this good tier is not in the order at all.
In order,
he would definitely be like towards the top,
like up here.
Yeah, he would definitely be towards the top. I think
somewhere like here for sure. But it's fallen off since the beginning of the gen. Like I remember at the start of the gen, everybody was going crazy about like how good of a wall this guy was. But I don't know if it I don't think the meta changed that much. I think people just slowly like started to realize that maybe it's not that bulky, and for that, like it's still kind of, I still see it kind of like tiered a little bit more expensive than I think it's worth. So that's why I have it in good. If it was much cheaper, then we could have a conversation about moving it into awesome. But I think considering everything, I think it's good.
If this guy's was priced at Infernape range now, like a 10-11, I mean he was skyrocketed. Like awesome, 100%.
Yeah, but I still see it a lot at like 13
yeah,
and like 14,
exactly.
and it's like I have a really hard time believing.
And
it's,
like you're still getting a good mon, but it's like I can't say that you're getting an awesome mon, you know?
Yeah, for sure. We can't say that. We can't say that it's like really, really good. We are gonna move on to Quaquaval, which is like
Quaquaval.
Which I can't put it into God tier, but it's definitely like
I think it's like competing. Like I think it and Cinderace, like they're like, you know, bromancing, looking at the God tier, be like, man, so close. But
yeah,
so
they are
far.
really close to God tier because like people might call Quaquaval like a noob killer or whatever. Because like it's so easy to snowball and like sweep people who aren't super prepared for it. But I'd argue that even if you are prepared for it, all it takes is one mistake. Like you sack one Pokemon in front of it, it clicks Aqua Step, and now it gets a Moxie Boost, and you're kind of like, well, shit, I kind of lose
and
now.
Like,
so
Quaquaval, weirdly, I just realized does exactly the same as Blaziken, except it doesn't get the natural speed boost, but it does get the speed boost, but then has the bulk to like back it up. Is the thing. He's like bulky enough that you can even run like a roost bulk up set if you really want. Like you don't have to just be all out attack. And I think that's what makes Quaquaval just stand out a little bit better than Blaziken. Plus, like the water typing is just generally better than fire, right?
Yeah, water type. If you watch our type tier list, you'll know that water type is like an S tier type. And something that I keep forgetting about this guy constantly is that it gets rapid spin. I know people don't run it that often, but it gives you the option of running some like bat set with like rapid spin and roost or like taunt or something. So bulk up's nice on it, swords dance is nice on it. Even if you think you're prepared for it, again, you sack one Pokemon in front of it and the game might be over. So while it's not S tier, because I still think it's priced still at like 15 or so points, I definitely think it's like it's top of awesome because you can get a lot more out of it than you would expect.
And I also think that he came out in like the exact correct gen, because had he been like a Gen 8 starter, he probably would have been worth even less, just simply because Gen 9 gave us Wave Crash, right? And I think Wave Crash,
that's a really strong move.
Having that like really strong water move just really helps Quaquaval a lot as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. Quaquaval is so close to S tier, but it's not quite S tier. Something that isn't S tier for sure is this Typhlosion. I think it might be an upgrade on the regular Typhlosion because of the ghost typing. But
I don't think it's a might. I think it's a definite upgrade, but I don't know if it's like a complete tier upgrade because it's like it has pretty much all the same weaknesses. When like I'm not talking type weakness, I'm talking like as a mon
flaws. The flaws are like kind of the same.
It's 5 points slower, which like realistically doesn't really matter, and it changes that for like the ghost typing and hitting a little bit harder, which is nice, but it's not like it's an improvement, but it's not like whoa.
It's not that big of an improvement. Like, oh my god, this guy just got so much better. Like, they're usually priced around the same because they usually like play the same. I will say like the ghost typing is a nice added benefit because I did use it once to like wall a Cinderace. Because you resist the gunk shot, you're immune to high jump kick, you resist powerball. So like it has some value in there, but I'm with you. It's definitely an upgrade. I don't know if it's as big of an upgrade to make it move up.
If they had made Infernal Parade a better move, I think that could have helped a lot. Because like let's just be honest here. Hisuian Decidueye and Hisuian Samurott, we see the two there at the bottom. I'm not going to talk about where they're placed, but both of their moves, like the signature moves, are way better. Way better.
Like Infernal Parade is kind of like Hex. Like it's not the exact same.
It's just Hex, and then it can burn, but it's like
and I think it's like I think it's the same base power as well. But like that's the thing.
Weaker.
Like
it's weaker. It's weaker.
Is Hex like 70 or
no? Hex is 65 and Infernal Parade is 60.
Oh, yeah, well, like, I think they could have gone maybe a little bit stronger on that. Maybe, I don't know if a guaranteed burn is the right thing.
I think it should have been a 50-50 burn, like Sacred Fire, right? It should have been 50-50, and then the damage should have been higher than Hex. Because, like, it's a signature move. No other mon can get it. So why are you holding back on it? That's what I don't understand.
Yeah, like, sometimes, like, it's not like other Pokemon can't run Hex. Like, you can get the same thing out of this move as, like, as you get Hex. So
like they kind of undercooked Hex, a little bit on so many mons, like so many ghost types, right?
Yeah, no, if they made it like a bigger chance to fucking burn, it would have been so much better because then like things would have the fear switching in. But I don't even know what the chance is. I think it's like 30, but that might not be enough to dissuade.
I actually think it's only 20. I'll look it up real quick. I think it's only 20.
They really, why do they hate this guy so much? Like they definitely could have made this guy so much better. They definitely could have made it so much better.
It is 30% chance to burn. Never mind.
Okay. I mean, that's still Scald, and like, 30% isn't incredible, but yeah, they undercooked with it. That's the bottom line. Hisuian Decidueye, I used it once and I hated it, and then the second time I used it, I hated it less.
But
I think it's actually it does have some value actually.
So how we just talked about Hisuian Typhlosion being a slight upgrade, this is probably a slight downgrade. Like I think regular Decidueye is a little bit better.
I think the typing is better.
I don't think like Hisuian Decidueye is awful by any means. But I just like if I'm getting a grass fighting, I would rather have Chesnaught, I think.
I would probably agree. Yeah, like this guy does get like defog and like roost and stuff like that, and like its signature move is really, really strong, right? Like if you look at that move and you give it that to a Pokemon that's like faster than like what 65 that I think Hisuian Decidueye is. If you give it to a Pokemon that's actually fast, that move is insane because you can crit, you can flinch, you can 50% chance to lower defense. Like that move might be like borderline like one of the most broken moves out there. It's kind of like unguardable because you also get scrappy, so like it doesn't even matter if you're a ghost type. But because it's so slow, you're never flinching anything. Its defensive typing is kind of meh. Like because of like it's sort of like stat distribution, it doesn't have the same like physical bulk that like Chesnaught has where it can tank an aerial ace, but this guy probably doesn't want to do that much. So like I think Decidueye is just one of those that like it's not offensive and it's not really defensive either, but it's an okay Pokemon. Like,
so honestly, I just pulled it up real quick because I needed to make sure on stats. If you swap the special attack and the speed, because the special attack is 95.
Oh,
so
that'd be
if you
really
swap
good
that
speed.
with the speed, all of a sudden you have this mon. Because like then that makes him a pretty good choice scarf mon, I would say, because he gets like U-turn, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So like that makes him an incredibly good choice scarf mon, because like as I said, you have Scrappy, so you never have to worry about like not hitting with your signature move.
Yeah.
And I think that would make him so much better. But he kind of just suffers from Game Freak wanting to balance the mons a little too much.
Yeah, I've noticed during this tier list that like Game Freak likes to make a lot of the starters like mixed attackers, and I feel like sometimes if they just leaned into like one of the offensive stats and put the rest into like bulk or speed, that they could have made the Pokemon like so much better. But
yeah, but then speaking of someone who can be a mixed attacker, but for the most part just clicks one move, we have, I mean, the God. Like I think he's God tier. I think he's amazing. Caesar's Edge is like incredible. Like it's I have come to the conclusion that Caesar's Edge is the best move in the game. I don't care.
So this is where me and Thomas like not vastly disagree, but we kind of disagree a little bit because I know Thomas was gonna put this guy into S tier and like straight away, like because he stands by this guy. I don't think this guy is bad at all. I think it's a really, really good Pokemon. I think Cecil Sedge is an absolutely broken move because you can just click spikes, and like even if like they're trying to sack something, or even if you're sacking like this guy, you can get damage and get a spike out of it on the same turn. But I just think the public opinion of it is that it's like incredibly good, so it's like tiered, like priced really, really highly, and I'm just not fully convinced that it sort of like deserves all that hype or to be priced that high.
The way you can really look at him is he is the best round 2 pickup you can have. No question.
I see this guy go like round 1 like a lot.
People, well, so it's because towards the end of the wheel, he's kind of the same as we talked with Meowscarada, where if there's not like a super high tier like mon around, you can then pick up Hisuian Samurott, because he's just like, he's not necessarily better, but he's just much more valuable than whatever high tier is left. And then you'll just pick up the scraps afterwards, because like you know he's gonna go immediately in round 2. Like he's gonna go so fast in round 2. So if you want to get a little bit ahead, you take him round 1 towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with putting it into S tier. I just wanted my opinion to be known that like I do really rate this guy. I perhaps just don't rate it as highly as other people.
Yeah,
like I've been called stupid for it. Like I understand that I might be in the minority here.
And then YouTube comment
really
section,
Pokemon.
You let Jay know that his opinion is stupid, right?
No, back me up, guys. I need your help on this. Like it's a really good Pokemon. I think people maybe overvalue it just a little bit, in my opinion. But we're gonna leave it in God tier.
There's two things I want to say quickly here at the end is, one, just look at the difference in Samurott. Like Hisuian Samurott is supposed to be the ancestor. He is looking down at his offspring and being like, pathetic.
Yeah. Samurai's looking up is like, that's what I should have been. Like, Game Freak hates me. That's what I should have been. But they really cucked it. Something else that you can really tell is that grass starters are just mid. I don't know if it's because it's
but also,
the grass
if
type.
If you like, let's just like quickly put Incineroar up in God tier and then just say, well, if you tack Dark type on him on,
yeah,
it becomes God tier.
Yeah, true. These guys are all dark types, but yeah, like there's a really big like gap between like grass types and like the rest of the grass types. So
like
I don't know if it's the typing or if it's just...
almost as if they make a good grass type. It has nothing to do with the typing.
Yeah, true. I guess the grass type, as much as I want to love it, is kind of mid. Like unless you have like a super good niche like Rillaboom or like Meowscarada, which isn't even a grass type, then you're kind of gonna fall flat as a grass type. But this is the tier list. I'm pretty content with it. Maybe I would move a couple things around. I know a lot of people will be looking at that Primarina placement and go like, what the frick are you guys doing? But it's just the tier list that we have, and you guys feel free to let us know down in the comment section where you disagree with us.